Today on the table of the M1 Garand and the BAR Mark II. Realistically, they're both going to be similar in price. A brand new BAR is going to be somewhere in the ballpark of a good quality used M1 Garand. One huge advantage over the BAR is the M1 Garand, especially an older one, like for example this one right here, it's going to have wear. Like this particular one's even been rebarreled. So there's always a possibility you're going to get one that's not in the best of shape, or the barrel's out of spec, or it may have problems. For your BAR Mark II, you can order these brand new. Well, not this particular one because they don't make this model anymore. Now you got to get the Mark III. But relatively speaking, you can get them relatively speaking, you can get them with like 0 shots fired. There's actually a lot of people that buy firearms and just never shoot them, especially when it comes to hunting rifles. A rifle like this, and this is why I preach so hard on AR-15s, they'll buy the rifle. A month or so before deer hunting, they'll go to the range, confirm 0, and then if they actually see a deer, they'll shoot at the deer, goes right back in the gun cabinet. So you're shooting maybe 20 rounds a year. Or like an AR-15, you shoot that year round. You're way more likely to get a clean kill with an AR-15 because you have way more trigger time than, you know, a 30-06 that you only shoot twice a year at maximum 40 times. So you can get these in like perfect condition. Now the barrel on the M1 Garand, I shouldn't say we didn't really discover chrome lining, but we didn't really understand the importance of chrome lining until the Pacific. So this is before that time, before the military started chrome lining everything. So this does not have a chrome line barrel. Your Safari Mark II, this does have a hammer forged chrome line barrel. Very high quality. This barrel, without a doubt, will outlast that M1 Garand barrel. Capacity, the M1 Garand does have the advantage. This does take a detachable magazine, kind of. So, I mean, you could have spare mags. And, you know, you just change out your mag, hook it back in there, and then go back to work. But I believe the mag's only 5 shots. I'll annotate it if I'm wrong. So you're looking at a total capacity of 6. Actually, I don't think that's right. I believe the mag's 4 shots, so you're looking at a total capacity of 5. Like I said, I'll annotate it if I'm wrong. And the mag change does take a minute. Yeah, you could load through the action. Let me make sure this isn't going to... Okay, it won't drop the bolt, so you could load through the action, which is probably how most people are going to do it. But you do have the option of just switching mags. Now, the M1 Garand, you're looking at 8 shots. But the reload is so much faster. You got your E-block clip, push it down on there, let the action forward. Now you have another 8. You could do that far quicker than you could with that BAR Mark II. Overall length, they're incredibly similar. They're almost exact. Weight, the M1 Garand is just a touch lighter. Now sighting system, I don't know about the newer M1 Garands, but the older ones actually have a dial on there with range on it, so you're always point of aim, point of impact. You got your windage adjustment. This doesn't come with iron sights, so depending on what type of scope you get, like let's say you went with this particular one, it is a mil-dot scope, so that is pretty cool. But scopes are fragile. If this were to fall down on anything even remotely hard, regardless what scope you went with, you're at danger of your zero being shifted or the scope just plain being broken. The open sights are far more reliable. If I had to pick one of the two, without a doubt I'd pick open sights. I'm an open sight person and I just don't like the disadvantages of the scope. Now the BAR Mark II, you can get this version with a muzzle brake, which is pretty cool. You're going to notice a huge reduction in recoil. Basically when your bullet comes out, all your gases that are still behind the bullet, they also come out. You'll have 2 different forms of recoil, one from the bolt coming to the rear, jerking the rifle like that, another one from all the gases coming out forming thrust. What this does is it breaks that thrust up so it's not all pushing straight back. You get some that pushes off to the side. Now this isn't going to help with muzzle climb because it's got holes underneath, but it will definitely help with felt recoil. Usability, because the E-block clip a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, once you understand how it functions, it's not that bad. But until you understand the functionality, this can be a bit tough. The BAR Safari Mark II does have the advantage in ease of use. Now, the M1 Garand, they actually neutered the M2 ball. Now, I don't know how much truth is behind this, but from what I understand is the ranges that were set up for the military, they were marked off to be at the maximum distance. If you were to shoot up at the exact wrong angle, at a 45-degree angle, and shoot your rifle, your round would still land inside that military range. So instead of adjusting their ranges for the 30-06 round, they just neutered it. They cut down the charge. So this particular rifle is actually built around a neutered round. So if you were to put modern ammunition in here, you can increase your bolt velocity so much you can either come back and crack the receiver, or it'll come back, bounce off the rear, go forward, and that velocity will be so high that the firing pin floats that you'll actually slam fire. That's a huge issue. Now, you can adjust these rifles by putting an adjustable gas plug in there. Basically, it just vents off some of the gas so it's not 100% coming back. But you're going to have to play with that. I mean, now you're adding variables to it. It's almost just easier to stick with M2 ball. I mean, if you really want, just buy a bunch of M2 ball, pull out the full metal jacket, and put in a hunting round of the same grain. That would work. Or you can just play with your charges and load them to M2 ball pressures. The actual rifle itself, besides the gas system, will handle a standard 30-06 round without a problem. The barrel's strong enough, the action's strong enough. It's just the bolt velocity that's an issue. The BAR Mark II, that doesn't have that problem. You can just throw in regular hunting ammunition and go to town. The BAR Mark II, it does have a modern look, but this one was made in 1997, I believe. I'll double check and run the serial number. It just doesn't do it for me. Both these rifles are piston operated. They use a very similar system. And because they have an external piston operated system, you're not going to get a whole lot of accuracy out of these. This particular rifle, I only shot one type of ammunition. And I didn't play with the Boss Brake, but I got roughly 2 MOA. Now there's people on the interweb quoting that you can get down to 1. So, I mean, realistically, you're probably, just throwing hunting ammo in there, not working up a load. Looking somewhere between like 1.5 and 3 MOA. And that's right in the ballpark of an M1 Garand. Again, there's people on the interweb that'll swear these can shoot half MOA, but that's something I'd have to see to believe. Trigger brake. The M1 Garand. It's almost got like a 2-stage. Then you hit your wall. It gets pretty heavy. Some creep, and a so-so brake. The BAR, this has got like a really crappy single-stage brake. Right there's your wall. A little bit of creep, a little more creep, and then your snap. It does have a far cleaner trigger though than the M1 Garand. Will that affect your accuracy? I don't know, because they're both less than ideal. Now the M1 Garand, you can get the B model, which is a sniper model, and it has a scope on it. They're insanely expensive, so I don't really want to talk about that variant in this video, because you could get 2 BAR Mark II Safaris for a B model. Now which one would I pick? Well, there's a slight caveat to that. If I know my way around M1 Garands, because there's a lot of identifying in it. You gotta match cartouches to serial numbers, you gotta match barrel to cartouches to serial numbers, you gotta match rear sights because those changed over the years. Chances are if you get an M1 Garand and you don't know anything about it, it will work just fine. But it's probably going to be a piece together model, especially if you get it for a good price. But if I know enough about this rifle to be able to identify what I want, does it have the proper trigger guard? Does it have the proper cartouches, proper serial number, proper rear sight? How new is the barrel? even where the Safari has so many advantages, like a much more higher quality barrel, semi easier to use depending on if you understand the rifle, got a muzzle brake, honestly I would still pick the M1 Garand. It looks way cooler and I'd be way more proud to get a deer with this. Plus it looks cool enough to where I'm probably going to shoot it more than just twice a year. This is something I'd go to the range with and have fun. It'd be super awesome taking long range shots with this thing. This is basically just a hunting rifle. That's it. That's all I would ever use it for. I wouldn't enjoy just going to the range and shooting this. There's no... I shouldn't say there's no sex appeal to it, because it does have some, but there's no drive to just shoot it for fun. This would be strictly business. So over a period of time, if I own both of those, without a doubt, I'd be a far better marksman with the M1 Garand. Even if it is not capable of shooting a tighter MOA, just because I'd shoot it more often. You'll have way better groups with more trigger time than you will with a rifle that's more capable. But anyways, thanks for watching. Leave in the comments which one you would pick and why. Don't forget to subscribe.